Hey everyone, Tom here, Cerulean Bay. Welcome back. It is Tropical Escapes at Home, and we are kicking off another week over here. And I do have to say that in putting together a few ideas for the show, it's been a little hard this past week because of things that were going on in the news last week, which was very distracting for me, and I think it was distracting for a lot of other people. And I think most of you might know who I'm talking about here. I am referring to Charlie Kirk, who was sadly murdered last week. And even though I was not a big follower of Charlie due to time constraints and just the crazy schedule that I've had over the last several years, actually, I knew who he was and I knew what he stood for. And if he was my son, I would have been so very proud of him too, because he wasn't afraid to speak the truth. And he was all about debating and doing that without being rude or judgmental. And it's just incredibly sad what happened to him. And it's especially difficult because he was only a year older than my oldest son. So, when you see people losing their lives and they're in your children's age range, it just, I don't know, it strikes me in a place that's just different and it's painful. And anyways, so yeah, it's been a little hard to get organized in terms of my talking points for this week, what it was I wanted to put together. But one of the many ideas that I had down on paper was, as we are getting closer to the end of the year and getting into fourth quarter, which starts in October, and that goes back to my real estate and mortgage days and my oil and gas days, where everything was based on quarterly efforts and results and reporting. So I kind of do that here at Cerulean Bay too. It's like, okay, we're getting into the end of the year. What do I need to wrap up? And it's kind of counterintuitive to what the tropics are, because the tropics don't have any kind of an expiration date or, it's just a wonderful, relaxed, kind of carefree way of living and way of styling your house, where it just continues on from month to month, regardless of what month that is, regardless of where you live. But I guess from a business standpoint, that's what I want to do. Is it's been a super busy year and a half for me, and I just want to go back and do things like updating some previous blog posts and go back and look at what's been working and what hasn't worked. And of course, always solicit your feedback too, because when people visit ceruleanbay.com, I can tell who's visiting what pages and how long they're spending there. But what I'd really love to know is what people think about it. I put content out there that I think is interesting and that I think provides value so that people can do interior design work at home, really nice interior decorating and styling that's based on authentic tropical designs and motifs and such. But I do want to know what people think. So if anybody has any critiques or criticisms of ceruleanbay.com, go ahead and send those to my podcast email, which is podcast@ceruleanbay.com. And in there, you can also comment on anything else I'm doing for our little business here regarding this podcast. And I'd like to also know what you think about Tropical Designs at Home. That's hosted on a really cool site called Learn Worlds. So if anybody out there is interested in creating their own online course content, anything to that effect, Learn Worlds is great. I really like it. I checked out a number of platforms, and I am not the techie person, so it's super easy to build really nice courses in there. I'm only on their starter plan. It's got all the bells and whistles that I need, and their pricing is currently only at about $29 a month, so it's very affordable. But I think I was able to put together some tools that can really help people when it comes to doing interior design work and decorating for their homes. So I wanted to just put that out there, that I do welcome the feedback. It is very helpful for me to know, again, what's working and what's not. How are you guys seeing things? What would you like to see included in my various platforms that are currently not there? Maybe there's some really cool stuff that I'm missing. So yeah, go ahead and send me a note to podcast@ceruleanbay.com. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you'd like me to include, or maybe what you feel is not needed. So maybe there's something I'm focusing too much time on that is of not real interest to people. Very important for me to know that as well. So with that, I do want to move on here, and I do have a couple points that I wanted to bring up in today's episode since the holidays are approaching. Here we are, it's already mid-September. I cannot believe it. September 15th. And I thought it would be a good time to just put out some ideas regarding the tropics and the holidays, whatever I might come across, because I'm always trying to tie the tropics to everything in life. Because I've noticed when I've traveled, while not everybody celebrates Halloween, sometimes you see versions of it in different countries, and it's done according to local cultures with their own versions of decorations and things like this. So I just thought it would be fun to come up with some ideas here for a tropical Halloween. And for those of you who have been to Pinterest, maybe you've already seen that there's just a gazillion different images over there about tropical ideas for Halloween. But one of the fun ones that I've always thought was cool was how people replace pumpkins with pineapples. And because if you get a really well-shaped pineapple and it's got the big spiky leaves coming out of the top, it makes the perfect spiky hair. I've just seen some really, really cool images of that. So I am going to share some of those with you. And then, of course, you hollow out that pineapple and you've got all that tasty fruit inside that you can use in a cocktail or in a salad or for dessert or however you want. But pineapples are a great way to create some awesome Halloween decorations. So I am going to actually put this in a little YouTube video so that I can just show some imagery there. Some other cool ideas include using watermelons too. You can hollow out a watermelon and carve Halloween faces that would typically go on a pumpkin. Put those on a watermelon, and then you can get maybe some hibiscus flowers and things like this, and you start to decorate a bit with those, maybe give the pineapple a little hibiscus flower on the side like they wear in the South Pacific when people have a flower tucked behind their ear. Another cool idea is when you get a coconut and you just get a marker and you draw a little pumpkin face on there, and those are small enough that you can hold them in your hand. So if you're having like a little gathering, a little party or something, and you've drilled the hole in so that people can be sipping on the coconut, or you can just go ahead and maybe hollow it out and you've got another cocktail that you've been able to pour in there. But where you have the coconut, where you've got the face just drawn on that you normally would put on a pumpkin, really cool idea. And I think I'm going to include that image as well because it actually looks really cool. But yeah, there's just a lot of other fun images you can do, and you can get inspired too with things like from the old Pirates of the Caribbean movie where you have the dead man's chest and they just have kind of those underwater scenes, and you get the nets with the skeletons and the captain's wheel from the ship, and you can just create some really cool scenes in your house. But again, it's something underwater. It's something you would see in the Caribbean. Again, it's tropical. You're bringing that whole tropical vibe together. So yeah, I think Halloween and the tropics is just great fun. I know there's a ton of info and images out there about it, and people can go look for their own ideas, but I want to put together a little video myself, just kind of with my own tropical spin on it. So I am working on that this week, where I'll have some imagery that I can share in there. And, just a quick 7, 8, 9-minute little video to help people come up with a Cerulean Bay type of Halloween, which I think would be very, very cool. But yeah, I think it's just a really cool thing to do. A tropical Halloween, especially if you live in a warmer climate. Here in Houston at Halloween, it's usually on the warmer side. We've had some years where the fall fronts have come through and it's dropped down into the 60s during the day, which obviously isn't cold. But there's those other years where it's in the 90s and you see these poor kids just sweating like crazy when they're in some kind of hot, bulky costume or something. So anyways, yes, tropical Halloweens, very, very cool. And you can also look into incorporating tropical concepts into any kind of local holidays where you live, whether it's here in the US or you're in another country. Just take a look and see how you can incorporate a little bit of tropical flair in there just to kind of liven things up and bring in that nice, fun, relaxing vibe. I think it's a great idea. And while Christmas is an easy one to do too, for people who celebrate Christmas, I've seen some really cool displays that people have done with very tropical themed ornaments for the Christmas tree. And as I mentioned, there's the Driftwood Christmas tree, which I really want to see if I can source this from a country where they are known for their driftwood. It's a very naturally occurring resource, and you're free to go ahead and collect it from the beach. If there is maybe a local artist in a country where that's what they can do, and we come up with a plan where these things are strung together and there's a way that you can have it supported by a pole and you can have your own driftwood Christmas tree something that would be shippable. Maybe we could carry it in our little online store. I think that would be something really cool to do, in addition to just some other nice things for the holidays that are very tropical oriented. Because again, here in the Northern Hemisphere, obviously winter time, it's cold, it's cloudy for a lot of people. That I know is when a lot of people are dreaming of getting away to the tropics. I know I'm one of those. So I do want to embark on that to try to bring some products, some ideas, just some inspiration about how people can incorporate the tropics into the holidays. I think it would just be great fun. And it also opens up in the world of gift giving when you genuinely don't know what to get somebody for Christmas. If you know they love the tropics, get them something that's oriented that way. Maybe they're planning a trip or they're dreaming of taking a trip, and you can get them a cool little something where it's kind of an inspiration. It's something, hey, you were talking about taking this trip to a nice island somewhere. Use this, take this, or here's an idea about that, or here's a gift card to go buy this. Make that little trip come true, that little tropical dream, make it come true so you can help support somebody else's dream of getting away to the tropics as soon as they can. And of course, as you're doing all of these things to make sure that everybody is having a wonderful Halloween and then a Thanksgiving and then a Christmas and any other holidays that you celebrate during that time period towards the end of the year, you just want to make sure that you're really taking care of yourself too, because you deserve a break. You deserve to have some nice quiet time. And of course, that's where having your own private tropical escape at home is a wonderful thing. So you should really make sure that you have your own room, your own corner of your home carved out, which is just for you. If there's other people in the home, they know it's off limits. No one else is allowed. It's your private little retreat. That's where you can go and take a break while you are making things so wonderful for everybody else. You can escape to your little retreat there and make things wonderful for yourself. So, as you will always hear me say, it is very important that people take care of themselves and look after their own health and well-being. Make sure that you have time to just breathe and relax and just have some quiet time and think about the tropics and realize what inspires you and what is it you'd like to see? What is it you'd like to do? Maybe next year, as everyone starts to think about the New Year's and what we're going to be doing in 2026, maybe it's time for that awesome vacation. It's time to take a break, time to get away. So yeah, don't discount how important you are too and how important your own time is. You need to take care of yourself and make a little list of what it is you want to do next year too. That's something I have to remind myself to do as well. I have to remind my wife too, because she gets very busy. But as I mentioned in an earlier show, my tropical escape here at home happens to be my home office because it's just the room that I'm in all day long, most every day. And unless I'm out running errands or doing any kind of consulting work or doing something else, this is just where I'm at. So for us, we have to make it a point too to just get away and take some time. And one of the things that I want to work on is my backyard. And I do want to get into outdoor topics for this show as well, for people who want to create tropical escapes outside, get into tropical landscaping and outdoor living rooms, outdoor kitchens, and things like that. So I am trying to queue up these subjects for later this winter as we start to get into spring, just to give people some ideas about what they can do to get ready for next spring. But, it comes down to simple little things in addition to just regular old yard maintenance. And I've got to get out there and take care of some landscaping and things that needs to be cleaned up. But we need to replaster our pool. And depending on how things are going economy-wise, I would like to take that a step further and maybe just redo the pool. And we'd love to expand the little covered patio area out there. And we don't have a big yard. It's a standard builder, what I call a cookie cutter lot in a very nice suburban area of Houston. But the lot's not big. I think it's just over 8,000 square feet. And, I purposely don't want a big yard because then that's just more that I would have to take care of. And I don't want to have to do that. So it is mostly pool. It's got a pool deck out there that does need to be redone. But that is my own little escape. That's the kind of thing that gives me some peace of mind, is to create a plan, do some dreaming, doing the things that I encourage all of my listeners, everyone out there in my audience to do, is just to breathe, relax, and imagine. and start to dream, what can I do with this space? And then what is it that our budget will allow, either right now or something that we can plan for in the near future? But that's something that we do too. So we'll sit out back there and we'll have a glass of wine, or I'll just crack open a nice cold beer and we have our conversation about what it is we want to do in the yard, and then maybe doing a little traveling next year. The last year and a half, again, has just been super busy with the business, and she's been busy with a few of her own little projects there. So we really haven't been able to travel and get away. But now it's time. It's been 2 years since we've been down to the Miami Beach area, and we're feeling it. We're overdue. That is our tropical escape, is to go down there. And then we always look for inspiration about what we can bring home in terms of design ideas, maybe new color palettes, some great art that we've seen, maybe at the hotel that we're staying at, or just whatever we happen to see that inspires us, because you'll always hear me say too, look at everything, especially when you travel, because that's not a place you're going to get up and see every day. At some point, you're going to have to come home. So while you're out traveling, visiting a beautiful area, wherever that might be, notice everything indoors and out. Just look at everything that you're seeing inside. Take pictures of furnishings and just colors and whatever is inside that is really noteworthy that maybe you can recreate at home. And outdoors as well, even if it involves plants and things that don't grow where you are back at home, you can still look for plants maybe that are similar to these. Maybe they can be grown indoors instead of outdoors. Maybe you can find them in an art form like beautiful artwork, wall art. Maybe you can get them in high quality fake plants. So again, there's always inspiration. And when we go down to Miami Beach, that's one of the things that we look for is inspiration. And for us, there's just a lot of that down there. Even in the restaurants that we go to, just walking around, driving around, wherever it is that we're going, depending on time next year and how budgets allow, we may go somewhere else. We're ready to go and visit some other places. It's been a while since we've been down to Fiji. We've talked about going to Bali. We've talked about going to the Philippines, even going to a place like Zanzibar off the coast of Tanzania. These are places that interest us. When you're getting into Zanzibar or places like the Seychelles or Mauritius, even the Maldives, those are off the beaten path for most Americans. And they are places that just intrigue us. They're absolutely stunning when you find video about them or just imagery about them online. Just some amazing places with some geographical features that you're just not going to see anywhere else. And again, each of these islands has their own culture. They have their own inspirations, their own looks to things. So those are things that you can also use to create inspiration at home. And if you're not in a position to travel for whatever reason, get online, start looking up Zanzibar, look up Mauritius, look up the Seychelles. In the Seychelles, there's a place called La Digue that looks absolutely amazing. It's got the big, huge granite boulders that are all worn down. They're on the beach there, and it's just some of the most unique yet iconic scenery. If you see pictures of La Digue, you know that this is La Digue because there are no other places that I've seen on Earth that has the scenery like that with the big boulders and such. Just absolutely stunning, beautiful places to go. So again, just wonderful inspiration, things that make us happy when we see them. That's what I really encourage you guys to do too, is look for things that make you happy. Look in nature, look in artwork, talk to other people. You'll get other ideas about cool things, maybe things that interest them that you find out, hey, that sounds really cool. I need to check that out. It could be a place you've never heard of before, an artist you've never heard of, some new art form you've never heard of. Look for those kinds of inspiration. Trust me, you can't go wrong with that. When a good friend or a family member has told you about a place or about something that's really, really cool, and it's something you would not have otherwise heard about, that's wonderful. Every time you see that piece or that color or whatever it is in your home, and you realize, this is something I would not have otherwise if it wasn't for that experience or that conversation. That means a lot. That is heartwarming. It makes whatever you have, that unique piece, those unique color palettes, whatever it is, it makes it special. It makes it vibrant. It helps you live. It brings interest to your life. There's just so much beauty around that people overlook, and they get locked into their busy daily routines, and it becomes very same place, same same thing. And things become very redundant and very mundane. And, and you get caught up in the whirlwind of life, and you're just busy and taking care of kids and family or elderly parents or what have you. And it's just, the busy job and everything else that's going on around you, that when you have your tropical escape at home and you have these things which are unique, they're different, they're outside the norm, yet it's in your house. It's in your private retreat, but it is outside the norm. The more of these things you can pull together in your private space at home, where you can go quietly relax, maybe pull up some really cool audio of nature that relates to these things. Or if you've got a TV in there and you find some cool YouTube videos where it's just amazing, beautiful scenery, listening to nature, maybe tied in with some music that comes from a particular place, and you just build that whole picture, you build that whole vibe as much as you can. Maybe you've got some things like scented candles or aromatherapy or something that brings in a familiar scent. And now you're smelling it and you're experiencing it because you hear it and you see it in a video, and you've got those pieces and colors around you. I'm telling you, you can sit there and forget the rest of the world. You can just immerse yourself in this and literally forget where you are, even if it's just for 15 minutes. But if you can do it for 30 minutes or an hour every day or every other day, and you've got this place in your home where you can just retreat to, and you keep it yours, and it's like having medicine in a different form. It is one of the most healthy and relaxing things to do. What I personally like to do with this, I'm a very prayerful person. I believe in Jesus, my Lord and Savior, and He created all of this. He's allowing me to have that. He's allowing me to experience it not only when we're able to travel, which isn't often because a lot of times, budgets are tight, but when we do, He's allowing us to live it in person, and then He's allowed me to have the imagination and the creativity to recreate it at home. And I'm very fortunate with my wife, Edna. She and I love a lot of the same things. We've been married 31 years, and we have so much in common. And when it comes to home decor and things like that, we just have a lot of the same tastes. So she appreciates it as much as I do. But when you bring in a prayerful life, a spiritual life, something where you are giving thanks to the one who created you and created all of the beauty around you, because it just didn't happen. It didn't just magically appear one day. And when you are realizing how much you love this, and that's the key word, is love. For me, God is love. He created love. That, again, is not some random emotion that just popped up in the human head one day whenever man might have first appeared on earth. That's a creation of God. And just accept it and love it in return and make it a part of your life. And then you will carry everything forward tenfold. That relaxation and that whole mental state of well-being will be even that much more, because now you're connecting it to the source of love. You are connecting it to our God who loves you and who I believe loves us so greatly. And yes, even though, as I opened at the top of the show, horrible things happen, like last week with Charlie Kirk, and just an endless list of things throughout history, just evil. There is evil in this world, and evil things will continue to happen. Just remember this, and not to get too religious or political here, because again, this is Tropical Escapes at Home, and the tropics are for everybody, regardless of your belief. God never promised that He would erase all of the evil in the world. He never promised us an easy ride. He never said that's how it was going to be. If you just look at what His own Son did on the cross, that was not an easy thing to do. The suffering, the torture, the agony, the death, just so that we could then be with Him after we take our last breath. If we believe in what He did for us, then that is how He helps us get through life, by giving us the extra strength, the extra mental push to just keep pushing forward because we will get through this life. The clock is ticking for everybody. We all pass on from this life at some time or another. And so everybody's moving through this life. Nobody is hitting the pause button. Can't do that. So as you're moving through this life, just make it easier on yourself. And if you're not a God-fearing person, if you're not somebody who believes in God, hold on to what makes you happy. You've got to find that bit of peace within yourself, and then you will be able to enjoy your tropical escape all that much more. And I do believe having a special place in your home like this is one of the many things that you can do to improve your mental health and well-being. Just like some people are very good about exercising and staying fit, and they go to the gym, they eat right. For people who realize that alcohol isn't for them and they've given it up, all these things to improve your life. This is yet one of those, having a tropical escape at home and having a very strong belief in God. That is yet another very positive thing. So if you pull all of that together, you will find that true peace inside, that true relaxation. And again, it's not going to eliminate all of your problems in life. It's not going to eliminate all of the horrible things we hear in the news. Those things are going to continue. It doesn't matter whether you believe in God or not. Those things are going to continue, but at least you've got some extra strength to get through it all. So that's my prayer for everybody listening today, especially in light of just some of the rough things that are going on in this world, is to just center yourself, breathe, relax, and just focus on the positivity. Eliminate the negative things in your life. Eliminate the hatred for other people. I think hatred is such a damaging, destructive thing. Anybody who carries hate around with them in their heart, inside of you, this is just horrible for the mind and body. It's horrible for the spirit. So regardless of your religious preferences, regardless of your political preferences, make sure there's no negativity attached to it. Just let other people be and just agree to disagree and focus on your well-being. So at the risk of sounding like a counselor here or a therapy show, which we are not that, I did just have to really tell you what I felt about this week, because this was a rough week for me. This was a rough week for several people that I know. A lot of people were affected by what happened this past week. So we're going to get past it. We're going to move on. And so to bring things around here, again, as I mentioned, we are getting into the holidays, and I'm hoping this is a happy time for everybody out there, regardless of how you celebrate the holidays. If you celebrate them at all, I think everybody does to some degree, whether it's Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, Hanukkah, anything else that is of importance to you that you do celebrate. These are special times. For some reason, they're all piled into the last 3 months of the year. I'm not quite sure why that is, but that's what we've got. Enjoy it. Celebrate the ones that really speak to you. Bring in those elements of the tropics, and you can't go wrong. You really can't. If you love the tropics, find ways to infuse that into every aspect of your life wherever you can. It just brings that relaxed mindset. It helps to slow you down so you're not in a hurry, you're not rushed. And again, it's not something that ever expires in time. Having that tropical influence, that tropical lifestyle, I think is one of the most important things in life. It's just so incredibly beautiful and beneficial. So on that note, I just want to remind you, we did move the Cabana Lounge newsletter to a monthly newsletter just because of time constraints on my end and because I need to come up with really, really good content. I don't want to be rushed with anything. As I've mentioned, I really research everything and I like to spend time on things. I never want to just rush and put anything out there just kind of half-baked. So we did move it to monthly, but I have a link to the Cabana Lounge in the show notes for today. There's a link to my YouTube channel, Tropical Escapes at Home, and also a link to Tropical Design at Home so that you can take the Tropical Self-Discovery Assessment. Again, it's only $29. I highly recommend that you do it. You're going to learn so much more about yourself when it comes to the tropics. And then if you feel so inclined, you can move on from there to the Tropical Home Transformation Guide, which I am reducing by $100. So it is a very in-depth guide that is very how-to when it comes to everything from A to Z for interior design and interior decorating and styling. It will help you determine how much you can really do on your own or when you might need to call in for some assistance, but it covers everything. There's 12 modules in there. which have a lot of great info and just a lot of great how-to. So, yeah, check out the Tropical Home Transformation Guide. You have access to it for a whole year, which I think is a steal. And yeah, it can really help you create that tropical escape at home. And it'll help ensure that you don't miss anything in that either. Because one of the things I really do stress is you never want to rush through a project, like any kind of redecorating at home or remodeling, and then realize, oh, we forgot this. Oh, we didn't do that. I am very methodical when it comes to these things. I encourage everybody to take things slowly, progress through, stop, do a check, do a review. Is everything moving along the way that we want it to? Yep. Okay. All the little boxes are ticked. Okay. Now we can move on to the next set. And that's how we've broken down the home transformation guide, is so that there's no rush and nothing is missed. And then when you get to the end, you are at your tropical escape at home, and it's been well planned and well thought out the entire way. So with that, I'm going to leave you guys for today. I wish you an absolutely wonderful week full of health, happiness, tropical inspiration, and be sure to banish the negativity and any hatred that's just so bad for you, and it's bad for people around you. When there's nothing positive, how can that be a good thing? So just be kind to one another out there. Have a great one, everybody. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll get together again next week. Bye-bye.